Hi, I'm Chris Wardlaw for Auto by Tel, and today we're reviewing the redesigned 2014 Toyota Highlander. Now this is Toyota's mid-size 8-passenger crossover SUV. It'll be available in 4 trim levels with 3 different powertrains, and prices start at just over $30,000. Get a hybrid model with all the options and you're going to be looking at more than 50 grand. Now Toyota's launching this new vehicle in conjunction with the upcoming Muppets Most Wanted movie, which is going to star Tina Fey, Ricky Gervais, and a whole cast of characters. Now I've heard that this movie's actually funny for adults as well as kids. So American families are going to be flocking to the theaters. They're going to see the Highlander, probably in some kind of a pre-movie promotion. And I don't think Toyota's going to have any trouble driving traffic to showrooms with that movie. The other thing about this vehicle is the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety has already tested it, and it gets a top safety pick rating in standard format, top safety pick plus with the optional dynamic radar cruise control and pre-collision system. It's the only vehicle in its class, as we shoot this video, that meets those standards. Let's learn more about the 2014 Highlander. Now, once captivated parents arrive at the Toyota dealership, they're going to find a stylish crossover SUV, especially in limited trim with those shiny 19-inch wheels. Now, the only thing that might turn people off is the grille. It's almost as though Toyota had no idea what to do with the front end of this vehicle, and so they put this Tundra-sized and shaped grille on the front of the new Highlander. My wife was sitting at our dining room table, looking at the Highlander sitting in our driveway, and she said, "It almost looks like that vehicle's wearing one of those gag sunglass and big nose things with the attached mustache." I don't think that bodes well. Now, if you decide to get the base Highlander LE with front-wheel drive, the standard engine in that vehicle is a 4-cylinder engine that makes 185 horsepower. That's significantly down from this V6 engine, and you might be thinking, well, I'll save a bunch of money on fuel economy, right? Well, that's not exactly correct, because this vehicle that I'm driving is rated 21 miles per gallon in combined driving. The 4-cylinder gets 22 miles per gallon. You can also get a hybrid model that gets 28 miles per gallon. It makes 280 horsepower combined. It has front and rear electric motors that effectively give you all-wheel drive. But here's the thing. It costs $6,200 more than a Highlander V6 all-wheel drive, and it gets what, 7, 8 miles per gallon, better fuel economy. It's going to take you years to pay that off. So if you're thinking you're going to get a Highlander hybrid and save a bunch of money at the gas pump, that's true, but you're also spending a lot more money up front. So many versions of the new Highlander come with a power tailgate. And as you can see, it's been raining a lot in Southern California this week. And as you can see, it takes for flippin' ever for this thing to open. How many times did I get soaked this week because I was waiting for that thing to open? Man, it drove me crazy. So, behind the third row seat, the Highlander offers 3.5 more cubic feet of cargo space than the old one. If you fold the seats down, you've got the same amount of space to work with behind the second row seats. You've got 42.3 cubic feet. It's the same as the old Highlander. If you are a person who maximizes your cargo carrying capacity in one of these types of vehicles on a regular basis, you're going to be a little disappointed with the redesign because there's 11.7 cubic feet less behind the front row seats than there was last year. Now, as you can see, a compact folding stroller fits no problem behind the third row seat. This covering here is a dealer installed option that you can get, and it helps keep things from sliding. It helps you clean up spills, you know, if you happen to get a leaky gallon of milk at the grocery store. My wife found it very easy to stack groceries behind this seat, and they stayed in place. This is a full-size suitcase right here. You can tell, you know, if you stack them, you can line 4 of those guys up right behind the rear seats, and there's a lot of space in here to take one of those epic family vacations across the United States. Really, no problems at all here, except for the really slow tailgate and the lack of maximum cargo space. There you go. So Toyota calls the Highlander an 8-passenger vehicle. Previously it was a 7-passenger vehicle. And the reason is because they've widened the third row seat, and now there's enough room back there to install 3 seat belts and theoretically put 3 people abreast. The second row seats in the Highlander Limited model, which is what we're driving, have these captain's chairs with a table, a little fold-up table in the middle. It's designed to hold pretty much anything except for a juice box or a one of those like Capri Sun style pouches of juice that kids always seem to have attached to their hands. I think that probably this design could have been a little bit better in terms of accommodating different types of drinks given the target audience. Now the seat does slide forward. Whoops, that's the recline. It reclines. And it also slides forward and aft. Okay, so if you are carrying passengers in the third row, you can, if you're an adult, slide this up to maximize room for the people in the back. And the front seat backs are nice and soft, so you don't have to worry about your knees or your shins. The limited model does have it's got triple zone automatic climate control, so the rear seat passengers here have heated seats as well as their own automatic climate controls. My test vehicle has the panoramic sunroof, which my kids loved. I mean, this thing is really expansive and it's tinted. Not that the sun's been shining a lot around here lately, but they really enjoyed checking out the stars when we were driving at night and so forth. You can also get a rear seat entertainment system in this vehicle, but my test car doesn't have it. And look at this. Very handy side window shades, which if you are a new parent with a newborn riding in a reverse-facing car seat, you'll love those. Now, to get in the back seat, it's pretty simple. You just step right on in, and then very carefully slide this seat like this. Oh, and don't forget, you have to push those headrests up. Now, you sit kind of high, and you know, it's cramped. I mean, I could sit back here for, I don't know, 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes before I'd start getting a little antsy. At least I could stretch my leg out between these seats. But I will tell you that there's no way 3 people my size are gonna fit back here. Not at all. Now, one thing that kind of bothered me about the Highlander is when I was getting this car kind of prepped up for our video shoot after significant amount of rain for Los Angeles, I needed to clean the mats because my kids dragged a bunch of sand and dirt in here. But then I noticed the mats are just one piece. So if you live someplace where people are dragging a lot of muck into your car, getting these mats, including this third row mat, which is T-shaped, getting these out of the car without spreading the debris that's all over them, all over the interior, really difficult. So pretty much you're gonna have to either vacuum them in place and then take them out, or you're gonna end up having to vacuum not only here, but also underneath them. Now, one of the most significant upgrades to the new Highlander is the quality of the interior materials. The old Highlander, full of hard plastic, lots of glossy finishes, a fuzzy headliner, and it's a night and day difference in here. I mean, this thing might as well be a Lexus as far as I'm concerned. You've got a nice new woven cloth headliner that's tucked in under the sunroof up here, matching cloth wrapped windshield pillars. They're plastic going back, but here they're cloth wrapped. This is a soft touch dashboard. Got exposed stitching here. Got these subtle brown accents, nice dark brown. It's fake wood, but it's very tasteful looking. Lots of silver accents here, and the front door panels are plushly padded, so if you are like me and you rest an elbow up there, it's comfortable. You've got this big center console that's also padded, but for some reason I find it hard to open. I'm not having difficulty now, but it takes some practice to make this work the way you want it to. And this center tray isn't lined with anything, so anything you put in here may end up rattling and vibrating, which I think is a bit of an oversight on Toyota's part. This car also's got this really nice storage tray in here. Now, you know, I know a lot of people are gonna kind of clutter this up and it's not gonna look so good, but it looks good now. And then there's this pass-through here. You take this plastic piece out and you can put your phone cords right through to your USB port, your auxiliary port down here, and then there's this 12-volt outlet here. So there's a lot of thoughtful touches in the new Highlander, but for me, overall, the most impressive thing is the quality of the materials. Now, my test car's got an 8-way power driver's seat with a thigh adjustment. It's really a comfortable seat, and the quality of this perforated leather is very nice. The front passenger seat, however, does not have height adjustment, and that's really a big deal for my wife. I didn't find it to be that uncomfortable to ride over here because my torso is longer than hers, and so I felt like I sat up high enough, but she felt like she was sitting too low in the vehicle, and for a $42,000 vehicle, not to give you the option of raising the front passenger seat seems like an oversight. Now, a lot of people tend to think that Toyota vehicles are dull to drive, and I've got one foot in that camp. I think that many of the cars are a real snooze fest. Now, typically, if you get the SE trim level, that's not a big deal, but you know, the ones everybody else buys, those are pretty dull. They're very soft, they're very squishy, they're very slow. Now, that's not true of Toyota's crossover SUVs, historically speaking. Typically, they're very peppy. They have suspension tuning that combines a taut city ride with decent athleticism when you hit a twisty road. And I find Toyota SUVs exceptionally good to drive. In fact, having now spent a week behind the wheel of this 2014 Highlander, this is my favorite in the class in terms of driving dynamics, and here's why. This 270 horse V6 gives you all the power you're ever going to need, and it gets decent gas mileage. Now, I got 19.4 miles per gallon during the week. The EPA says I should have gotten 21. A lot of that was testing the V6 acceleration. You know what I'm talking about, right? And I was doing a lot of suburban shuttling. So 19.4 really, I thought, was right in line with its competitors. The transmission is new this year. It's a 6-speed automatic. It's got a manual shift gate so that you can choose your own gears. If you push the stick up, that executes an upshift. If you pull it back or down, that executes a downshift. To me, that's intuitive. To an F1 driver, not so much, or somebody who's familiar with Mazdas and BMWs. The 6-speed is always in the right gear, it seems. Anytime you request extra power, it's there immediately. And it really helps the Highlander accelerate in rapid fashion. What would help this vehicle, I think I mentioned earlier, is the optional dynamic torque control all-wheel drive system. Not only is it designed to send power to the rear wheels when the front wheels slip, but it is also designed to take into account yaw rate, steering angle, and other driving factors, so that if you are driving kind of aggressively on a freeway on-ramp or something, it'll help tuck the car in. So here we go. Let's see how fast this thing is. Not quite as fast as the Avalon, but there's 60 right there. So, and that wasn't really an official acceleration run. The road's a little bit wet, so take that at face value. I mentioned the suspension tuning's a little bit taut. It's not a problem in terms of ride quality. I mean, you're going to feel the road, but the ride motions are really well controlled, and this heavy SUV doesn't wallow when you go over undulating pavement. It doesn't nosedive. It doesn't squat excessively when you accelerate. It's really well done. And I found that when I took this vehicle on a twisty road, the 19-inch wheels and tires really did a great job of sticking. The Highlander was a lot more fun than I expected in the mountains. The brakes also worked flawlessly. My test loop takes me from 1,300 feet of elevation down to sea level, and you ride the brakes a lot on that particular route. It's a great test of a braking system, and this one didn't fade, brakes didn't shudder, there were no weird smells. It really did a great job. In terms of dynamics, the only thing that I think that the Highlander could use improvement on would be the steering. It's electric steering, and in my opinion, it doesn't feel natural as you're going from on-center to off-center. The heft builds up in a kind of an unnatural way. And also, the steering needs to be a little bit quicker. When you're wheeling this thing around a parking lot, and you're trying to find a space, and there's a lot of traffic coming around turns at you, you're doing a lot of sawing at the wheel to get this thing to turn. I really think it could stand to be a little bit quicker. The other thing that I didn't like very much is the shape of the steering wheel itself. It's got this kind of sharply radiused edge right here, and if you drive with your palms on there, after a while, it starts to hurt a little bit. Otherwise, I've got no dynamic qualms with the new Highlander. Completely redesigned, the 2014 Highlander represents a big improvement over the vehicle it replaces in most respects. In terms of safety features and safety protection, in terms of infotainment technology, modern design, the quality of the cabin materials, this thing is head and shoulders above the vehicle it replaces. So if you like the way it looks, or you're just a big fan of Kermit the Frog, then you're gonna love the new Highlander. For Auto by Tel, I'm Chris Wardlaw. I'll see you right back here next time.